Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of the Resident Evil 7 DLC as it is so far. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to sink a bit more time into Andromeda. It's a big game. I wasn't able to take an extra day off for it, so I want to sink some more time into it before I give a full review. So instead, I want to do something a little smaller, focus on that. And then, I don't know, it's going to be a light month, so I may do a couple of smaller things as well as a couple bigger games, maybe some older games, we'll see. So I saw that they created like a survival horde mode kind of thing, and that didn't really appeal to me. So I played the Daughters and the Bedroom DLC, because those seemed the most interesting and they were actually story-driven. I also tried the 21 DLC, which I wouldn't say story-driven. It's kind of reminiscent of the VHS tape in the game where you have to survive one of Lucas's traps. So I'll start with the Bedroom one, where you play as Clancy, who is in the film crew from the demo, the first hour, or the VHS tape in the game that you find. You basically get to see what happens to Clancy after he goes into the basement, which is he gets grabbed by the family and they strap him to a bed and they try to feed him their weird, gross shit, which I feel like that has something to do with them becoming the kind of demon monsters they become. Maybe it's what converts them into mold or like fully forms the virus in their bodies. I don't know. The gross meals that Marguerite makes are kind of weird and still kind of a mystery to me in the whole of Resident Evil 7. But point being, in the Bedroom DLC, as Clancy, you are basically trying to find a way out of the house. So it's solving a bunch of smaller puzzles in the room that you're stuck in, and you have to cover it up, because Marguerite will come back to check on you, and if you don't, close certain things that you may have opened or put things back, she'll attack you, and if she attacks you enough, you will die. One thing that bummed me out was that you couldn't eat the food and then, just kind of end it there and, maybe become one of the mold or something like that. I think that would have been kind of an interesting, route to go with it. The next DLC I played was the Daughters DLC, which I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that one a lot more because it tells you what happened to the Bakers. It happens on the night that they find Evelyn. So you play as Zoe, and, you can just follow the instructions and go through it once and just do basically the event. And it's not that long. It's actually really short. And you see how they came to be, but it's got a good ending and a bad ending. So what you do to get the good ending is there's all sorts of other things to explore around the house. So you need to do that. And if you do that, then, well, you can find the good ending, which isn't really that good of an ending. It just explains how Zoe wound up to be the Zoe that you know in Resident Evil 7, the main game. I thought it was a really interesting take just because you could do things that could be completely useless or things that would be incredibly useful. You had to be careful with what you were doing. It does raise a few questions about the Bakers, because how do they afford all this shit? Their house is incredibly nice. They've actually got a really nice car. It's interesting. You wonder what they were doing in life before this. So I'll just go over the other stuff briefly. The audio is excellent, and the voiceover work is excellent once again. I like the sound. I like the voices they chose for the actors. I just think it works very well. It still works well, and it's really interesting for the Bakers this time around, because some of it is infection. As far as the gameplay mechanics, it's mostly puzzle solving. During the Daughters DLC, that's far more complicated than the Bedroom one. I will admit, the Bedroom one, you have to pay close attention to what you're doing, so that can be a little difficult at times. But I'd say getting the good ending of the Daughters one is far more difficult because it hinges on some smaller things. As for the controls, they work just as well as they did in Resident Evil 7, the main game. There's no shooting or anything like that, so that's not super important. It's a lot of walking around, exploring, and solving puzzles, so, you don't have to worry about, crazy awesome shooter controls or anything like that. As for the graphics, it still looks good. It looks just as good as the original game, so not a lot to say there. Overall, if you have Resident Evil 7, these two DLCs are pretty fun. The Blackjack one, 21, is alright. The Horde mode is interesting enough. Honestly, Jack's birthday, I don't fucking care about. But these two, the two story-driven ones, are interesting. I'm excited to see where the other story DLCs go as the year goes on. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me if you've beaten Resident Evil 7 yet, and what's the highest difficulty you have beaten it on? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.